Right, I'm in the shed for this week's Ask. I'm trying to answer all your questions you left below last week's Ask. You've sent in using the email and all sorts of different ways. So let's get to it. First question comes from FINNEMANN. He says, he's just curious, as a former dirt jumper stroke slopestyle rider, does Blake set up his enduro bike like someone like Sam Pilgrim, who puts maximum pressure in both fork and damper? And would it be beneficial to set it up like that for normal mere mortals like myself when riding bike parks? So jump trails, flow trails. So Blake does set up his suspension pretty hard. He's a big guy as well, does big stuff on his trail bike. So yes, he does definitely put more pressure in his shock and fork. Probably not quite as aggressive as Sam Pilgrim, because Blake does a lot of normal trail riding as well. I'd say Sam probably doesn't do quite so much, just rides those big jumps, so he has his rock hard. But yeah, it does help those riders. When they're landing big tricks, big heavy landings, you need them super hard. Mere mortals, I would say probably not. You might want to set up your suspension quite progressive for doing things like riding bike parks and flow trails, but to have them just super hard isn't going to help you out very much. It's going to be super unforgiving on the rest of the trail, to be honest. SNOWSNIPER AIRSOFT, that's a good username. I have a cracking noise coming from the pedal area of my downhill bike. What could it be? Downhill area, well, it's going to be drivetrain, of course. So first thing I would check would be your bottom bracket. They can creak. A cracking noise, probably. You know, if you, especially, I doubt you've got a press fit on a downhill bike. But even if the bearings start going in your bottom bracket, that could cause that. Having said that, it could be your pivots. So if your pivots have dried out, when the bike moves around, when you're pedaling really hard, the bike will flex a bit. So it could well be that. I would say it's definitely a case of servicing your bike, so either greasing up your bottom bracket or replacing the bottom bracket, or greasing up your pivots on that full suspension bike. But definitely start with bottom bracket, pivots, could be your pedals, could even be the rear hub. But if you want to see a video where we go into real detail about how to stop creaking from your bike, click on this link.
A smooth operating mountain bike is an absolute pleasure to ride, but due to the conditions we ride in as mountain bikers, it doesn't always happen that way. And you can end up with a bike that creaks and groans all over the place.
Right, next question comes from Logan Rides Bikes. He's got a specialised rock upper with a 3x9 gear setup, so 3 chains on the back, 9 gears on the front, sorry, 9 gears on the back. And he went for a 30k ride and didn't use the second and third chain ring. So can I take the front back off and just use it as a 1x9? So by second and third chain ring, I presume you mean the smaller one, so you just use your big ring. You can do that, yeah, it's fine. You're gonna have not that many gears, of course, only 9 speed, and your range isn't gonna be massive, because on a 9 speed cassette, compare that to those new massive 1x12s, you just don't have that range of gears. So you can do that. What I would say is move your big ring into the middle, so where your middle ring used to be, so you've got a better chain line. So yeah, you can try that, and you can always put them back on if you don't like it, so it's not a massive deal, it just takes a bit of time to do it. Ian LOURENZ SANTOS, where can you stash your spares on your bike if you're wearing a cross-country jersey? Yeah, I used to do this quite a lot on my cross-country bike, so I used to take one tube and stick that under my seat, so in between the rails, and then use electrical tape. So you wrap it round and over the top of the saddle. It's so thin, you won't feel it when you sit down. And then either you can stick a pump in your back pocket, or you can get some of those mini pumps that will mount to your bottle cage. So it's pretty simple. And then I used to just take a multi-tool in my back pocket, water bottle on the bike. That's about it. Pretty easy to do. Loads of pro enduro races do this now as well, and you can buy those sort of Velcro straps to strap a tube to your frame rather than sticking it underneath your saddle, because if you're running, say, a dropper post, you probably don't want to stick that weight on the saddle, but pretty easy to do. MANZI is 12 years old. He's very interested in racing downhill, but live in an area where there's not much elevation or steep descents, and the only riding clubs are cross country. I was wondering how I could try and get into it. Well, funny you say, Ethan, that's pretty much exactly the same situation I was in when I was young. So where I lived, the hills were, 200 or 300 meters high. Basically, I got into it because of friends. So 2 or 3 of us would go out and we'd just section that hill. So you can make great little downhill tracks out of not a lot, and to ride them over and over. You don't need a big 6-minute, 10-minute downhill run to get good at it. Just go out and ride those sections over and over again. And I really think that helps you get better as well, because if you ride the same one, same bit 10 times, by the 10th time, you're going to be better at doing it. You're going to be faster. So try and find some mates to go and do it with. Hopefully you've got some around here. If not, I'm sure you'll find some using social media, Facebook, Instagram, try and find some people who are into it as well. George ALLMAN has got a 2016 Cube Stereo 160 race. The rear brake cable is routed around the bottom of the rear swing arm into the caliper. Photos attached, that's up on screen now. Is this the correct routing, or does it look weird and could potentially be an issue with the cable stretching? Well, I've looked into this, so I've Googled your bike, and I think you're absolutely right. That's the way it comes standard. And actually, you can see those parts of the frame where you mount the zip ties, they're called braze-ons. So you have the routing that it's like you've got now from standard, which I do think looks a little bit weird. I've not seen any others like that, but I presume it's not a problem. If if Cube are sending those bikes like that, then it must be fine. If it was me, I'd probably neaten it up, to be honest, and do what most people do, is run from that bottom chainstay and just go straight up on a diagonal to the caliper. Would be easy enough to do. You just have to shorten the hose a little bit and swing it round on your caliper and potentially have to re-bleed it. But if you don't mind the way it looks, then fine, just leave it like that. I don't think it's a problem at all. Okay, next question. David Wallace says he can never get this straight. How would you classify a dual suspension mountain bike with 130mm travel front and rear? Would it be enduro, trail, all mountain, or something else? Yeah, it can be super confusing, this. 130mm, that's somewhere sort of mid-travel, I would call it. So I would actually call that bike a trail bike. An enduro bike, I would say, would be more travel than that. So something from 140 plus, probably really 160. I know, super confusing. All mountain, I would say, is bigger travel than that. But we've actually done a video on this if you want to check it out. What mountain bike should you choose for your riding discipline? And we do give those disciplines names and talk about what those types of bikes are.
Mountain biking has evolved a lot over a history of about 40 years. There's all sorts of disciplines now that fall under that mountain bike umbrella. So we thought it'd be a good time to explain all the different types of bikes and what their intended use is.
Right, a few quick fire questions. Liam O'Neill, why have you never done a video on the Canyon Talk? Well, finish that, coming soon. Blake has just got one, I've seen it downstairs, and he's going to Whistler in just a couple of weeks and taking out a bike with him. So you will see a Canyon Talk very soon. MAXENCE LAPOINTE. Have you ever gone mountain biking in Quebec City? Yes, I have. I used to race at Mont Saint Anne World Cup. Probably been there 4 or 5 times. Love it. Classic downhill track. That's the only place I've ridden in Quebec. But it's a cool part of town. Cool part of the world, in fact. A good place to go out for beer as well. Camboy093. Can I use standard 27.5 tyres on a plus rim? Yes, you can. It's possible. However, it's probably not completely recommended because a plus rim will be quite wide, so I don't know, probably 35mm wide, I thought. So if you put a normal tyre on, it will have a weird shape, so it will sit further in, not as it's designed to be really, but you can do it, I'm sure. Having said that, I've not tried it, but I'm almost 100% sure it will work. Just probably not going to give you the best tyre profile. Michael Gilbert, I feel like I have to bleed my rear brake far too often. After only a few rides, the lever can go all the way into the bars. It's a Shimano XT. 2 things here, I would say either you're not quite doing the bleed as well as you'd hope. So sometimes you have to do the lever. So there's a couple of techniques to actually sort of strap the lever to the bar and try and bleed both the caliper and the lever. So check out Shimano's instructions to make sure you're doing it completely properly. And the next thing I would say is make sure you haven't got a leak anywhere. So make sure all the banjo bolts are tight on the lever and on the caliper, nice and tight, or you haven't got a hole in your hose, because that is also possible. So just run your hand over the hose, make sure there's no oil leaking out anywhere. Not the quickest answer, but there you go. That's it for this week's Ask. Leave your questions down below. Anything to do with mountain biking, we'll try and help you out. Also, if you've got correct me if I'm wrong, send it using our brand new uploader. So follow the link in the description down below. You can send us all your videos for the dirt shed, like your hacks and bodges, your bike vault pictures. But for Ask, send us your videos of you riding. If you've got any questions about your technique, you know, get your mate to film you. Use the uploader and I'll try and help you out, or we'll try and help you out here at GMBN. If you want to see a couple more videos whilst you're here, click over there for the speed challenge, where I try and go as fast as I possibly can on my mountain bike. Over there for Blake builds a manual trainer if you want to try and learn how to manual your mountain bike. Give us a thumbs up and hit that sub button.